breaking the aftermath of the Kyiv attack, Putin's emergency decision, and Trump's conversation with him, discussed with Roman Svitan. Roman, welcome and thank you for joining us. Wishing you good health. Friends, support Roman's analysis by liking the video. Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. We're curious about our audience's geography. Roman, let's start with the fact that the day before there was a massive missile and drone attack on Ukraine, particularly on the capital. The Air Force officially reported that the enemy launched 539 attack drones from 6 locations, of which 478 were neutralized. The main direction of the strike is the city of Kiev. Interestingly, this time a significant number of ballistics were recorded: Kinzhals, Korean missiles, Iskanders. Roman, how do you assess the architecture of this attack? What is your view of the situation and how effectively did our air defense work? We have been repeating for 4 years now, you cannot make contact with terrorists. We have experienced this firsthand. As soon as any negotiations begin, or someone conducts them on our behalf and then passes information to us, as was the case recently. Trump talked to Putin, after which Putin struck Kiev. Then Trump contacts Zelensky. Terrorist attacks occur. These actions are actually initiated by the negotiating team itself. A terrorist makes demands and immediately kills the hostages. All of Ukraine is now a hostage. Yesterday Kyiv was hit. Today another city may suffer. Tomorrow a third. It is not impossible that Kyiv will be hit again today, especially considering that yesterday no cruise missiles were used, and the Russians, as a rule, prepare large-scale combined attacks. There is a possibility that the strike will be repeated in a day or two, when, in addition to drones, cruise and ballistic missiles will also be used. This is terrorism in its purest form. It's one that Trump has already fit into as well. Even Merz pointed that out. We've been talking about it for 4 years, and now he has stated it directly. After Trump's calls to Putin, Putin starts killing hostages in Ukraine. If even politicians at this level are noticing this and putting it in the public space, maybe it's time to stop any contact with terrorists. Contact with terrorists must cease completely. The only contact allowed is after their destruction to witness their death or burial. That's it. Only fire contact with Russians is possible, no other contact. Anyone who speaks on behalf of Ukraine should be banned from mentioning our name. If you want to solve your internal or external problems, American, Middle Eastern, Far Eastern, whatever, do it without us. Do not turn Ukraine into a bargaining chip. Forget about us in your divisions. Share what is yours. Do not touch what is someone else's. In this case, ours. This is exactly the mode in which the Ukrainian authorities, whatever they may be, should act. Otherwise, cities will continue to suffer. Now, the capital recently, others, tomorrow, new ones, and again, the capital. The Russians strike the capital and regional centers, because these are places where civilians live compactly. Terrorists always hit the most vulnerable. Roman, we fully agree with you that this missile attack coincided with the conversation between Trump and Putin. We will definitely come back to this, but in continuation of the topic of shelling, there is information about a possible new missile strike in the near future. We want to hear your assessment exclusively in a military context. In particular, regarding the state of our air defense. What are your forecasts? After all, there have been statements about serious problems, in particular with Patriot systems. During the last attack, a large number of ballistic missiles were detected. How reasonable is the assumption that the enemy will try to exploit this vulnerability? And what are our chances of effectively repelling such strikes? Why did even Merz notice this? Because Trump has stopped arms shipments, mainly air and missile defense systems. Patriot PAC-3, M120 and other missiles that are used for F-16s and NASAMS, among others, are all critical. He has effectively removed the protective umbrella over Ukraine, and Putin will take advantage of that. He will strike for as long as there are no supplies until perhaps European partners step up. This attack could be tandem. Yesterday was the first wave. Judging by the architecture of the strike, the bulk came from the capital. About 500 geranium drones produced with Chinese and Russian participation were used. The security service has already confirmed that these are not Shaheeds, but Russian-Chinese drones. They find Chinese spare parts in them. The main intelligence directorate has also clearly stated that these are geraniums, a Russian development, and Iran is not currently involved in their production. The destruction of Iranian factories where the Shaheeds were previously assembled has had no effect whatsoever. They continue to produce 150-200 drones a day, using Russian-Chinese components. The Iranians can assemble them by sending 50-100 per day and stockpiling the rest. Thus, once a week they are able to organize an attack of 500 drones. Perhaps a second attack will occur in a day or two, as it did on Friday night. The architecture of that attack included about 500 geranium-type drones and mostly ballistic missiles, Iskander, KN-23, and a few Iskander cruise missiles. No air or sea-based cruise missiles were used. There were no KH-101s, KH-555s, or Kalibers. In the next attack, they may well use these types of weapons as well.
КН-23 и пара крылатых ракет «Искандеров». Не было крылатых ракет воздушного пуска, не было крылатых ракет морского пуска. То есть ни Х-101, Х-555, ни калибров не было. Потому в другой атаке, следующей, по крайней мере, они могут завязать в том числе и Х-101 и калибры.
It is necessary to clearly monitor the takeoffs of Tu-95s and the departure of Black Sea Fleet ships. We have the ability to record these takeoffs. But the government has recently committed itself to securing Russian oil refineries, oil infrastructure, and the Black Sea Fleet. Our means of defeat are not used there, and this is a question for the country's leadership. As soon as the withdrawal of missile carriers and ships is recorded, we need to be ready for a second massive attack using a large number of cruise missiles.
Как только выход этих средств доставки будет, тушек и кораблей, надо готовиться к второй массированной атаке, которая будет с применением крылатых ракет в большом количестве.
Up to 40 cruise missiles, a dozen to 1.5 ballistic missiles, and about 500 geranium drones, which the Russians have already prepared, could be fired. The question arises as to the expediency of such actions. If the goal is terrorist, then from Moscow's point of view it is justified, and they can realize it. There are no military targets for such a number of missiles and drones, and the Russians understand this perfectly well. If another attack happens, it will be pure terrorism. We expect it because attacks followed Trump's calls, with Putin before and now with Zelensky. That's the pattern. This is why any contact with the aggressor must be avoided. Roman, let's get more on this topic because the day before, Trump had a conversation with Russian dictator Putin. It's interesting to hear what you think about that. To what extent you agree with Roman Svitan's assessments, write in the comments. After the conversation, Trump said he was very disappointed with the results. According to him, there is an impression that Putin is virtually gone. He does not see in him a desire to stop, and this, in his opinion, is a very alarming signal.
Пане Романе сказав після цієї розмови наступне, що я дуже розчарований розмовою з Путіним. Мені здається, що Путіна там вже просто немає. Я не бачу, щоб він хотів зупинитися, і це дуже погано.
He doesn't want to end the war. Roman, how seriously should we take such words of Trump? After all, first he said that he could end the war in 24 hours, then he talked about his desire to improve relations with Putin, and now he is making quite different statements. In your opinion, how sincere are such statements for Trump personally, and should we expect him to change his rhetoric, both with regard to Ukraine and Russia?
Кардинально, не кардинально, хоч якось може міняти риторику і по відношенню до України, і по відношенню до Росії.
Trump stopping arms shipments to Ukraine is a concrete action. It doesn't matter what he says. At this point, he has taken the side of countries that are waging wars of aggression. Trump supports Israel under Netanyahu and Russia under Putin. Putin invaded Ukraine to take over and is waging a genocidal campaign. Netanyahu, Israel, and the Zionist leadership are attacking Palestine, Syria, and Lebanon. Trump supports them all. It doesn't matter what he says, it matters what he does. His actions show direct support. After talking to Putin the day before yesterday, he said he supposedly noticed Putin's absence from the peace talks. But it's already obvious. Putin is not involved in the talks because he is conducting a summer military campaign prepared back in the spring. Russia has secured its oil refineries and pumped fuel into the army, also with the help of the Ukrainian government. The Black Sea Fleet also feels free to go to sea and strike with calibras without obstacles. Putin has invested tens of billions of dollars in the summer military campaign, and until he gets dividends from it, peace initiatives are out of the question. He won't even discuss it. Trump is aware of what's going on, but prefers to play the role of a good-natured or uncertain old man. We understand that very well. From the very beginning, he has sided with the aggressors, Russia and Israel. Both countries act in genocidal ways and seize territory. Israel, Palestine, Syria and Lebanon, Russia, Ukraine.
Израиль захватывает, еще раз повторюсь, Палестину, Сирию и Ливан. Россия захватывает сейчас, на данный момент захватывает Украину.
Trump is on the other side, so there is no point in appealing to him or trying to make contact on this topic. After his conversation with Zelensky yesterday, he simply handed over Putin's terms, the so-called Ukraine surrender offers. He is acting as an intermediary from Putin. We have discussed this more than once. He is now acting as a transmitter of Kremlin messages. He has developed a kind of alliance with Putin and Netanyahu. The question is how we feel about it. On Trump, everything is already clear. We need to withdraw from these contacts. There is no point in them. We have heard the terms of surrender demanded by Putin many times, and there will be no others. These demands are already enshrined in the constitution of the Russian Federation. According to the Russian legal field, no one, including Putin himself, will be able to give up claims to the captured Ukrainian territories. Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson and Crimea regions have been added to the Russian constitution. This process on their part has been completed. They will continue to seize territory. Depending on the circumstances, they may pause for a few months to regroup and prepare for the next stage of the offensive. They may stop for a longer period of time, all for the sake of accumulating resources and continuing to seize those areas of Ukraine that are not yet included in their constitution. This is what their strategy is all about. What new can we hear from Trump or Putin? Nothing. Putin is using Trump as a transmitter of his demands. Therefore, as they say in Ukraine, we need to do our own. Our main task is enshrined in the Constitution and in the oath that all servicemen and civil servants, including most security forces, take. It is to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine and, in case of its violation, to restore it. According to the Constitution, our strategic goal is the full restoration of territorial integrity and access to the state border. This is what we should be doing, not discussing Trump's statements, which change every day. Today he says one thing, tomorrow another, and the day after tomorrow he does not remember what he said yesterday. Therefore, as they say in Ukraine, we should do our own thing. Roman, we completely agree with you that Putin can demand any show. We have seen it repeatedly in 4 years of the big war. To continue the topic, an interesting statement by the Chinese foreign minister, who said that China cannot allow Russia to win the war against Ukraine. How do you personally perceive such words? What does it mean in the context of the geopolitical situation in the world, and what consequences can it have directly for Ukraine?
Це запевнив міністр закордонних справ Китаю. Пане Романе, як ви сприймаєте особисто такі заяви? Що це означає в геополітичній структурі світу і що це означає безпосередньо для нас?
I take it as a confirmation of my words. We've been talking about this for 4 years now. China is behind Putin. Russia is China's rabid dog, sent to bite Europe. Xi Jinping directed it in 2022 by giving Putin a command during the Beijing Olympics. It was obvious even without intelligence. Everything was calculated. After his meeting with Xi Jinping, Putin returned to Moscow satisfied, got the magic kick, so to speak, and went to attack Ukraine.
Путин после контакта в 22 году, после контакта с Си Цзиньпинем на этой Олимпиаде, прилетел в Москву радостный такой, дали ему команду пинкать, называется волшебный пендель, и отправили в Европу, называется, покусать Украину.
Putin attacked Ukraine as a European country. Now that things are not working out for him because the war has dragged on, it is clear that the calculations were wrong. Xi Jinping expected that Kyiv would be captured in 3 days and Ukraine would be under Chinese influence. But this did not happen. It is already the 4th year of the war, and it is becoming obvious. Russia is a colossus on clay feet, a rabid dog of China. Only this colossus does not have clay feet, but oil feet. These are the oil derricks on which the regime rests. If they are destroyed and our government still does not allow it, the whole structure will collapse. If the need arises and with the help of international partners and special services, the oil refineries are destroyed, this colossus will collapse. And its collapse will strike a blow to China itself, because everyone understands whose dog it is. And if it is crushed, the question is for the owner, why he could not protect it.
То есть все же прекрасно понимают, что это его собачонка. И если ее раздавили, так вопрос тогда уже к самому хозяину, что защитить не мог.
Now they are trying hard to convince everyone that they are ready to stand up for Russia if it starts to collapse. We knew about this 3 years ago. It was obvious. China's participation in this war can be traced both directly and through third countries, intermediaries, and schemes. It can be seen with the naked eye. The SBU has already confirmed the presence of Chinese components in geranium drones, not to mention other means of defeat and North Korean supplies that also use Chinese electronics. China is clearly behind Russia. What to do about it? Nothing. It is too far away from us.
Средствах поражения, северокорейских поставках, там также половина китайского. То есть Китай точно стоит за Россией. Вопрос, что с этим делать? Да ничего не надо делать с самим Китаем. Он далеко от нас, слишком далеко.
Our issue is Russia. Although China has a legally elected president of Taiwan, Lai Ching-te, and Taiwan is also China. So we can say that Xi Jinping should cede power to democratically elected institutions. But this is a matter of the distant future. Perhaps we will come back to it in 5 to 7 years. Now our main task is to eliminate the threat posed by Russia. The best way is to start with Moscow. We need to find ballistic missiles because it is ballistics that Putin is using to strike Ukraine. After Trump stopped deliveries of PAC-3 and Patriot systems, the only way to cover against these strikes is to mirror strikes on Moscow with ballistic weapons.
Их прикрыть можно после того, как Трамп остановил нам поставки ПАК-3 и Патриотов. Прикрыть их можно только зеркальными ударами по Москве баллистикой.
Only ballistics can reach Moscow. This is the only option. The question is to urgently establish its own production or find supplies, even Iranian ones. After all, buy Fateh or Zolfagar missiles from Iran, but make sure they come with launchers and use them on Moscow. After Russia effectively traded Iran for Ukraine, disregarding Tehran's interests, the Iranian authorities may be interested in cooperation. If they are approached specifically by representatives of Ukraine, and this is clearly indicated, there is a chance that Iran will agree to sell ballistic missiles. In terms of range, the Fatehi and Zolfagars are capable of reaching Moscow. Roman, good news. The General Staff has officially confirmed the defeat of a facility for the production of combat parts for the Shaheds in the Moscow region on Russian territory. What do you know about this event? What are its consequences for the occupier? And is there any information about who might be behind this operation? This is the 14th Unmanned Aerial Systems Regiment. Magyar has such a regiment as part of the Unmanned Aerial Systems Force. Smart guys, real professionals. Mostly they have drones of operational level with a range of 70-100 kilometers, but sometimes they get more powerful devices, such as Antonov AN-196. It was with such drones that they hit the factory. Not the production of drones, but important components, batteries, control systems. Yesterday they even reached the Moscow region. They fulfilled their combat mission to perfection. It is extremely difficult to get into the area of Moscow and the Moscow suburbs because of the dense air defense, but under certain cover, they managed to break through the frontal defense system, and several drones reached the target, stopping the technological process at this facility.
Постарались, то есть под определенной системой прикрытия пробили фронтальную систему ПВО россиян, а и дальше несколько беспилотников зашли, остановили технологический цикл на этом заводе.
Пане Романе, дякую вам за цю розмову, дякую за вашу аналітику, за вашу позицію.
Like this video and leave comments with your thoughts on the topics discussed. It's really important because we know that our audience is a thinking audience, and it is thanks to your activity that this video will be seen by as many people as possible. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Це знаємо, і лише так це відео подивляться якомога більше людей, а це точно важливо. Також не забувайте про підписку, та побачимось в ефірі на 24-му.